Yom Shabbaton. Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to Hebrew Line of Shem, House of Yehuda. My name is Didyomas. Today I want to share with everyone, first of all, is Happy Feast of Dedication. This is the second day of the Feast of Dedication. The Feast of Dedication is over in the book of McAfee around the 4th chapter, and I would just like to share with you where the Feast of Dedication began. The Feast of Dedication is 8 days celebrated. So if you have your Bibles, turn to 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 65 and 66. Here where you find King Solomon gathering all the materials and vessels and the cattle and sacrifices of lambs and sheep, and that he was preparing the temple because Yah did not allow his father to build the temple, but he gave a lot of gold and different things, and man's was fashioned with brass and etc. and getting prepared, and it was bringing the gold and all that to the temple to be beaten down and melted down, for the vessels of the temple. And this is called the Feast of Dedication. This is the first temple. They took the Ark of the Covenant and all the stuff out of the tent of meetings. So Solomon now, Yah had told him to build the temple. The building of the temple is completed. They have all the animals for the sacrifice, the sin offering, and etc. and etc. So this is called the Feast of Dedication because they are dedicating this building to Yahuwah Elohim, and for he will be dwelling with his people in the dark cloud. And they completed it, and it took 7 yams, and then 7 more yams, and a day. So the end of it would be 8 days. This feast is for 8 days. There are people that have named for themselves this feast as Hanukkah, but Hanukkah is not even mentioned in the Bible. It's called the Feast of Dedication for 8 days. And sister, would you read that part of 1 Kings chapter 8, 65 and 66?
And Solomon at the time observed the festival, and all Israel with him.
Yes.
A great assembly from the entrance of Hamath to Wadah of Misraim before Yahuwah,
Yes.
our Elohim.
Amen.
7 yams and 7 yams equal 14 yams. On the 8th yam, he sent the people away, and they blessed the sovereign.
Yes.
And went to their tents, rejoicing and glad of heart for all the goodness that Yahuwah had done for his servant David.
Amen. So on that second 7 Yom days, and on the 8th day they worshiped, and because the temple was completed, and everybody was happy because now their Yahuwah Elohim will visit them once again like he did in the tent of meetings, which was the tabernacle. So the Hebrew Israelites are happy, and they are rejoicing because now they are close to their God, right? Their Elohim, and they are just so, what words could I put it, so elated that they have this completed, and this mission was completed, and they gave a lot of their own substance and etc. And so this is where the Feast of Dedication began, and on the end for 8 days. If you have your phones, you can go over to the book of McAfee in the Apocrypha. And over in the book of the Apocrypha, there was a priest called Mattathiah McAfee. And you have Grecia came and got at war. And Alexander the Great, which he conquered the world known back in those times, but he died, and out of him, his 4 generals took over, and they took over different parts of the region and the country and the times during their time, right, in the world that they knew back in the ancient days. And one of his generals named Seleucus, right? And then so Seleucus took it, and then you have him coming against the temple, right? And then a lot of things, happened because his son was Yehuda McAfee and his 5 brethren. And then so the old man Mattathiah McAfee, they came to him and asked him, okay, will you come and worship, because they took siege of the temple, they put all these idol gods and Hellenistic practices and prostitution and all in the temple. And then some of the Israelites, Hebrew Israelites, went along with this here stuff because they feel they was going to die if they didn't. And they went in there and done all these lewd acts and defiled the temple of Yahuwah. And so Mattathiah McAfee, which lived in the village, he didn't like it. And then so he said no. So he sent a person to the temple, and he took out the sword and he killed the priest that was allowing this kind of stuff, and then he killed and cut up the prostitute in there, because they did not feel at ease that these heathens, the armies, was coming into the temple of Yah and defiling it with all this practices of Zeus and these false gods, which came out of Grecia. They had a lot of false gods over there, and statues that they worship, Mercurius, Venus, and all this other kind of stuff. And then so Mattathiah them went to war. But Mattathiah McAfee, the father, he got old. And then his son, Yehuda McAfee, and his brother, they got together an army and stuff. And then here the story began to reclaim the temple and to restore all the things that the enemy did. So in the book of McAfee, the 4th, we'll continue the next time. Shalom.